Hey family, welcome to another segment of What's Your Issue with myself, Bernice.
And Oneishea.
So today guys, I wanted us to just do a little commentary on the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. So most of you guys may know or may not know, Johnny Depp is suing his ex-wife for defamation, and she's also countersuing him, Nisha, too, for what is it called? Defamation as well. Like, they're both suing each other, right? But what's made the case very interesting was initially when we first all heard about Johnny Depp being accused of, unfortunately, domestic violence, it was a big shock, like even for me, because I don't follow him, Nisha, but I do like a few of his movies. And I've noticed as an actor, like for me personally, he's unproblematic. So prior to like the whole Amber Heard situation, I've personally never really heard of Johnny Depp being violent or anything about his personal life like really coming to light.
But you know.
No, and I agree with what you're saying, Nisha. Just because we're not hearing about it does not mean that it might not be happening. However, like because of his situation with Amber, I mean, a lot of things have come to light, like his excessive drug use and, you know, and what I'm saying, like things that I personally, like I said, never really knew of Johnny Depp because I wasn't really paying attention. Right? And the Amber Heard, like I think I watched this movie where she was in Transformers. Was she in Transformers? Yeah, she was in Transformers.
I know she was in Aquaman.
Yeah, she was in Aquaman, but she was in one of the Transformers movies.
Oh.
Right, so for me, she wasn't really an actress that I was like, oh, like, you know, like she's big and whatever, I need to like really pay attention to her. But I have heard of her from Transformers and then, like you stated, Aquaman. Right, so I mean, when she made the case that Johnny Depp was like essentially abusing her, it was a big shock for all.
So okay, so they're in court.
Yeah, they're in court right now, and
they are okay because I don't watch.
Yeah,
I've seen like a few clips. I saw one clip where they were talking about a pooing incident on the bed, and then I saw another clip where they were talking about where Johnny Depp's Kate Moss, is it Kate Moss?
Yes,
the one that he dated. I knew he was with her.
Yes, he was with Kate Moss.
Like she was responding to like whether or not he had harmed her. So I saw those two things. So outside of that, I don't really pay attention. But like, so what? Okay, how did they get here? So they both accused each other of abuse.
Yes. So
how did they get in court though? Because this is a civil suit.
Yeah, well, Johnny Depp is suing her, and then she's also countersuing him. Right, for defamation.
So there's been no formal charge of the allegations on either of their part. No,
not that I'm aware of. Up until this, so we're just waiting for the verdict now because I think today was like their closing arguments in terms of what each side has presented, just so that they can convince the jury. But just watching it, like, to Nisha, just watching her testimony has been very infuriating.
In what way?
For me, because first and foremost, Nisha, we're in the era of Me Too, and we know that, not just the Me Too era, let's scrap that. There is such a big negative thing on women coming forward in terms of them reporting any form of abuse that they have faced in their life, Nisha. And for me, like, realizing that and seeing women go through these things, you know what I'm trying to say, and understanding that it's very difficult for women to come forward, Nisha, to just report anything. And we're at a point in society where we're trying to change that narrative so that it's okay for women to come forward, for them to be comfortable. However, watching her case, because initially, Nisha, when I first started kind of like looking at it, I was very partial because I'm like, there's two sides to a story. Everybody makes mistakes in the relationship. But actually watching a few of like the proceedings, the witnesses, even her testimony, Nisha, it's very, very contradictory to somebody who has been abused the way that she's stated she's been abused.
So like really what made you decide that this woman is like essentially like making shit up?
Well, first and foremost, Nisha, her body language when she's recounting the so-called incidents, her stories keep changing. She can't recount what's happened to her. And as an abuse victim who's been abused as terribly as she stated she has, right, Nisha? Like, you would think that you would be able to at least, I'm not saying all abuse victims remember, you know, every account, but she cannot really definitively state anything, Nisha. One of the things that she stated in the proceedings is that Johnny Depp wears a lot of rings, and he repeatedly beat her. And I was listening to that, and I was like, for somebody to be wearing a lot of heavy rings, Nisha, they're not like those fake rings that, you know, and they're very thick, Niche. If he's persistently pounding you in the face, right? One, the marks would be there, Nisha. You would need some form of reconstruction, right? As well, possibly, exactly. There's no bruises. The thing that got me throughout her testimony and all the instances of abuse is that there's no medical record. She alleged that, unfortunately, one of the incidents, he allegedly utilized a bottle, Nisha, to rape her. And if somebody used a bottle and insert it in your vaginal area, like in your vagina, Nisha, you would have to seek medical help because it's glass. It's a foreign object. You don't know what it's done on your insides. She didn't seek any medical help. Then when she allegedly got hit in the face, right, Nisha, pounded in the face, according to her, she didn't seek medical help either. So there's been instances, her stories don't particularly add up. Her emotion when she's speaking about those, incidents from a domestic violence survivor point of view, there's nothing, Nisha. Like, even when she's crying, it's fake. There's no tears.
But you know, like, okay, so like, I haven't watched it.
Yes,
like I said, but I do think that, and I don't know this. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't have anything invested in these people one way or another. But it is possible, right? Like, people who've endured trauma can recount incidents and have like a detachment.
Yes, I agree.
Right? Because you're looking at it from like a third, like, outer body experience. Like, you're talking about it happening, but not like, but it's like you've removed yourself from it, right? So all those things could be the reason why she emotes the way she does, right?
Yes.
And like, inconsistencies in stories is not uncommon when you're remembering things. But I get what you're saying. It's like, when you accuse people of a thing, right? And this is really, especially like if she is lying and she has made all these things up, I think what makes it really precarious and what makes it really difficult is that there are people who have suffered through these things. Yes. And they, you know, have the scars and and I'm not talking about always physical scars, right? You know,
there's emotional, there's psychological,
right? They have all these things that they're carrying, and sometimes they want, when they retell their story, for people to accept their story. Exactly. So when someone in the public figure, and this is a big thing because it's all over the place,
it is, exactly.
And so it's being broadcast like this, and then if it is that she has made up all these accusations, and this whole allegation of abuse from her that she says that he's done is actually false, and I think it's really sad. It is beyond
sad. And also, Nisha, they have recordings of her admitting to hitting him, right? Like,
so it seems like one person was abusing the relationship. Yeah, her.
Exactly. It was her, definitely.
She wasn't the one who was abused. It seems like she was the abuser.
She is the abuser. And honestly, Nisha, when you do have a chance to like really maybe read a few clips here and there, you'll kind of come to your own conclusion. Right. But for me, like, my grievance is just simply that there is real domestic violence abuse victims out there, and there's some who are going through it, some who are coming at the tail end of surviving it, who are still doing the work, because it just doesn't go like this. It's not, it doesn't, the pain, the suffering doesn't go away with a snap of a finger. Right. So I feel like if you are a domestic violence abuse victim, she needs to be conscientious about what she is putting out there, right? And ensuring that she's telling the truth.
But I mean, that's not her priority.
No, and that's the thing, because the other pieces too, Nisha, like watching the case, of course she doesn't care about that. It's like, she had a majority of her friends living in all his penthouses. So my other thing is, like, me and you, Nisha, we're living in a penthouse or whatever, Nisha, and I'm getting abused. Like, the way she alleges he was abusing her, there's people around. This is a man too that has security team.
So no, okay. Was there anybody from anything from what you've heard so far, was able to corroborate anything that she said.
That's the joke? No! Nisha, nobody.
So this one has made all these
It's all in her head. And then while she's on the stand too, Nish, she continues to change her story. Right? So, like, it's just become like a big gone show, and it's just very disparaging for me. Like, watching it as a woman who knows that there's real victims out there and there's real survivors, you're making a mockery out of the whole Me Too movement in terms of getting women heard and being respected, and not going back to that narrative is that, oh, women are just accusing certain men because they just want something out of it. They're just trying to extort them, right, Nisha?
Right. Well, so I don't even know what to say about that, because it sounds.
You need to watch it and kind of review a few things, Nisha. It's just because watching this woman and her defame herself, right? And then now, like, she's trying to make it seem like, oh, it's Johnny Depp that's trying to defame her because of certain comments that his agent at the time made. But come to find out, the rest of the world, we've all come to that conclusion that the agent was right. Like,
what did the agent, what was it?
Basically, the alleged, based on the Waldman statements, was basically, and not verbatim, but basically, Nisha, that she fabricated all that she is doing right now just so that she can get the attention and the money. Because she even pledged that, their divorce settlement was going to be going to some charity, which they are yet to receive.
Okay.
So there's all these evidence against her. And then also too, like, the thing that really annoys me is when she's on the stand, she insinuates or thinks that we, the audience, or the people that are in society, we're dumb, and that we can't make up our own minds based off of what we're seeing and hearing in terms of deciphering that, one, you're lying, or two, which witnesses is telling the truth. I mean, we all come to our own conclusion, but don't insult our intelligence as a society in watching this and thinking that we actually believe the lies that you're spewing. That's why.
So but how do you know she's lying?
Nisha, there's been witnesses on her, like I said, her sisters testified
on her behalf.
On her behalf.
So her sister supported that she's been through this abuse?
If you listen to the sister stories, it's very inconsistent. Basically, let's just put it this way, Nisha. All of her witnesses, their stories are very inconsistent, and it doesn't make sense. And even her, when she went on the stand and couldn't recount or is making up things as she goes along, Nisha, that's when you saw. And then, like, for me, it was like the lack of emotion, like, and wanting so desperately to look at the perpetrator. As an abuse victim, I don't want my perpetrator to even look at me. And it bothers her that Johnny Depp won't even acknowledge or look at her. So it's just, when you really analyze and watch it and sit down and internalize a few things, you just know that, honestly, Nisha, what she's saying makes no sense. The pictures that she's presented in evidence, it just, no. And for me, it's just like, we're trying to protect women's rights, women's ability to come forward and talk about whatever type of abuse that they have gone through.
Right.
And what you're doing is not okay, because you're taking a step back, and then you took on the so-called moniker of being an advocate for domestic violence victims and survivors, but yet you're nowhere near that. Right? And once, like, regardless of what the jury finds, Nisha, the public opinion is that you're guilty. Right? So at the end of the day, for me, my grievance is just, you have to be conscientious, because there are women out there who are really suffering, who need help, who want to come forward, but are unable to because there's somebody with celebrity status who feels they can make a mockery out of this, and it's just not fair or right, right? So,
well, you know, it's really tricky,
yeah,
right? And I think part of the reason why is, one, it's like you're watching a show,
yeah,
right? You're watching people recount what may or may not happen, and you don't really know for a fact like where anything lies. Right?
Yeah.
And I think we have to recognize that we're dealing with actors.
Yeah, true.
So like,
you can see a lot of acting.
And Johnny Depp's an actor.
Yeah.
And everybody is part of this cast.
Yeah, true.
And so I think that, not I think, it's happening in the public space.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
It's being shown, you can watch it, you can be a part of it.
Yeah.
So people are obviously going to have their opinions.
Oh, definitely.
And your opinion is going to sway. A lot of times your opinions are going to sway where your values or your experience lies, where, you know, there's certain things that are going to make you want to be likely. We all have our biases. There are things that are going to make you want to lean one way or another.
I agree.
Right? And so it's really tricky because when people recount their stories, I don't think there's any one way for people to retell like their experiences, right? Some people will offer more clarity than others and other people will not. And we really can't always automatically just assume that if a person's not clear in retelling, they're making shit up.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. I agree.
But with all that being said, I do think that if that's the case, right, with like just... You know, domestic violence is not something to
lie about or to associate yourself with.
It impacts so many women, right? And they're like, not just women but children,
even men as well. Right? Men affects everybody.
Right, you're so right. And so, for you to just make it up or imply that this happened when it didn't happen, I think it's really unfortunate. It's really sad, right? Especially when people are in like, when actors and people with like status that people admire.
Exactly.
But it really sucks. But it's entertainment as well.
It is very entertaining,
and I also think this is like part of the thing, right? Like I have to wonder, right? Like what prompted them to want to get this televised? Like, did they choose? Because not every trial is televised, no. Right? So, why did this happen? Because I do think, like, there's an element of, like, showmanship. There was a lint flowing in front of my
I don't know why she felt the need to, like, brush off the lint, but anyways.
But, yeah, anyway, there's an element of showmanship when, like, people are always used to fame and having the spotlight on them are in the public eye, right? And they have control of the narrative. They have control of the viewer's attention, right? They can weave the story in a way that benefits them or not.
Yeah, that's what she's trying to do in this case.
Well...
Failing miserably.
Well, you got your opinion. So guys, what are your opinions? If you've watched it, let us know how you feel. Do you have the same impression that she's making shit up? Or do you just think that, you know, like, maybe she's just struggling to organize her story because of her trauma?
Please.
But Bernice already has her opinion. But, you guys, and also I just wanted to reiterate that this is about our opinions. Opinions are not facts, you know, and we have people have different opinions, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we
don't. Exactly.
You know, and such is life. So let's share. Tell us what you think. Tell us how you feel about this issue, and let us know. Okay.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.